covered a number 1 pick yesterday in Joe Burrow. Now we got the one who was picked a year later in Trevor Lawrence. Yes, I'll be trashing him a lot today, but just remember, he still has more playoff wins than Justin Herbert. All that said, time for the Jags roster grades. And with that, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Fun NFL. Please like and subscribe if you guys enjoy the Jacksonville Jaguars 2025 roster grades. We're going to get into it right now. Again, if you have not watched previous roster grades, if you want a full in-depth explanation on how, again, the grading system works and how I get to an actual letter grade for this roster, go watch the Aura Farm, which is the Tennessee Titans 2025 roster grades. That is the first one we did. That is an in-depth analysis. I missed a couple things there. I think really the main was that if you get 234 points, that's kind of like the average benchmark for like a C overall. We have a range for each side of the ball. With that said, we will start out with quarterback and then get through the skill positions, offensive line, and then the rest will be as follows. With that said, though, the Jaguars quarterback situation, which I did hint at the beginning, is again led by their number 1 pick in Trevor Lawrence, who again, you've heard this a million times. Again, he was supposed to be like the best quarterback since Andrew Luck, all that. He has not been that by any means. Last season was probably statistically the worst season since his rookie season, where he was absolutely atrocious, despite having probably the worst head coach in NFL history in Urban Meyer running the ship that season. Well, at least for most of the season. Then again, when we look at the rest of his career up to this point, 2022 was his best year in terms of the numbers. I think also probably was his best year overall. He really took on in the second half of the season. 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions though overall. 2023 was honestly, I think that was overall probably the team's most successful year until again they hit that spur after he got injured. Where they just weren't very good. But then last year, the Jags stunk. Trevor stunk. I mean, there were some games where he was okay. Again, it wasn't like they got blown out in every game when he started. But, again, he had that really scary concussion, again, where Azeez Al-Shaair decided to, I don't know, do what he usually does. And then, Trevor was out for the season. The season was already over anyway, so it really didn't matter. But, yeah, for a team that really stunk last year, Trevor really didn't help that at all. Again, biggest issues with him is, yes, he has a good arm, but he really, or a pretty darn good arm, and he doesn't really utilize it the right way. And the fact that he doesn't use it. Also, again, his footwork has never been the greatest, all that stuff. But still, again, Trevor has not really lived up to any sort of expectation that he has really should have been able to hit by now. Nick Mullins is a solid backup, not in the fact that he'll be the most mistake-free, but the fact that he'll make the offense somewhat productive. Because again, in 10 games, and again, he started parts of seasons. At this point in his career, again, he was with the Niners. He was somewhat productive. Again, he throws a lot of picks, but like even Vikings fans were like, yeah, he was a hell of a lot more productive than a lot of other quarterbacks. So say that, yeah. And again, yeah, he'll throw a lot of picks. John Wolford, he started a game for the Rams, and he played a little bit in 2022 in that lost season for them. He's not a guy that really has a good arm at all. He can move a little bit. He can run an offense decently, but like at the end of the day, he's not a guy you want to see on the field. And you got Seth Hennigan, who is just not the best. Anyway, though, if I had to give the Jaguars quarterback room right now a grade, again, really just on Trevor Lawrence, I'd give it a C. Trevor Lawrence is just someone who has not wowed me yet, and until he actually does do something, which I'm going to guess is not going to happen, again, he still has a playoff win. It's going to be a C grade for the quarterback position. For the Jags, that's going to be 25 points again if you take that, and then again, the weight of it. Again, we have multiplier. C is 5 times whatever the weight is, which is 5, so that's 25 points. I'm going to go to C. With that said, though, time for the skill position. Starting out with the running backs. And this Jags running back room is very weird. Travis Etienne Jr., I guess, is still the starter. He was absolutely atrocious last year. The only redeeming part of his game was the fact that I still think that his vision was pretty decent. But the fact that, again, he declined drastically in his overall production the past 3 seasons, as well as yards after contact per attempt went down a lot as well. Again, it wasn't completely his fault. This offensive line wasn't very effective as a run blocking unit at all last year either. But he just has not been good at all. Even as a receiver, where you're like, there's definitely a big part of his game. He hasn't been the greatest. And then the explosiveness is also falling off a cliff. So, again, he's not the best running back in this room even now. And, yeah. Tank Bigsby had some really good games last year, but overall still has, again, could be a little more consistent. Again, he still has that burst of speed that we really like out of him, especially considering that his best trait is breaking tackles. I don't think he does it in an elite clip. I think you can definitely say that. But, again, also didn't really get the carry numbers, and we saw those games where he really broke out. Again, he had that massive one against the Patriots in London, had a really good one against the Colts as well, but outside of that, really didn't get a huge workload most of the season. And until he does get that, and I think he maybe has a little bit more of a consistent make up to his game, I don't know how you really want to considering a number 1 back. But again, he's definitely better than Travis Etienne was last year. Brashard Tulin, fastest back in his backfield for sure. But the thing about him is I'm not really trusting him to really be a guy who can take, again, also not only take on a whole workload, but you can really trust to, down in and down out, give you solid production. But at the same time, you saw with Devon Achane and stuff like that. Again, he's not Devon Achane by any means, but these fast backs at this point, again, they can be used really well. So we'll see how they try to use them there. LeQuint Allen Jr. out of Syracuse. He's a guy who I think is a pretty solid power back for them. I mean, maybe turns into something again for, what was it, a 7th round pick if I'm not mistaken. He could definitely turn into something. Again, I didn't hate that pick at all. But overall, the fact that I got 2 rookie running backs and 2 guys that Tank Bigsby is probably the guy that should be the starter. It's definitely not the most desired group. I'll probably actually give them a C as well. Nothing against Tank Bigsby, but like Travis Etienne was not good last year, and Tank Bigsby also again like. You got a lot of stuff to work on. And again, the depth there, though, is pretty solid. I'll give them that. There's some good things going on. Now we move over to wide receiver. Again, the top 2 guys are probably 2 of the best talents in the entire NFL. Brian Robinson Jr., Thomas, my bad. I consider an elite receiver off his pure talent alone. He was 3rd in the NFL in receiving yards last year. Yes, most of his numbers came with Mac Jones, not just because Mac Jones played a lot, but also because him and Trevor Lawrence really just didn't have much connection outside the fact that, Trevor has a decent deep ball at times, and Brian Robinson Jr. can catch those. I was shocked to see how his development was coming along with his actual overall route running and just being a consistent player in that way. His timing was off the charts in terms of, again, the metrics there. I did not expect to see that at all. I wouldn't even say he developed really. He just really, put everything together last year. Because you look at him at LSU, there's, a lot of things he just needs to work on. Again, he's definitely a talented player. But I'm like, yeah, some of those things, like lack of focus and like that's probably not going to be part of his game. But he really morphed a lot of things that you need to be a productive receiver on a down-and-out basis, along with the fact that he's a big play guy. And it just almost all got put together last year. I would like to see a little bit more, on a game-to-game basis sort of things. But outside of that, I mean, Brian Robinson, Thomas Jr., surpassed any expectation anyone had for him last season. Travis Hunter, again, this is like a whole conversation of him, again, if he's going to play offense or defense, all this and all that. Bottom line is he was the best player in this draft class by a decent bit. I mean, again, Ashton Genty's his own guy, but still. For Travis Hunter, again, the biggest issues with him is he just doesn't really have the techniques down just yet. Again, the timing and stuff, again, with Trevor Lawrence is something that's going to take him a while to get at. Again, that's why he's playing a lot of offense right now in OTAs and then definitely in training camp. But again, the thing is about him, again, if he's able to be a starting caliber player on both sides of the ball, again, if the Jags coaching staff feels that, and again, definitely the front office because they're the ones that drafted him. Again, they also traded a haul for him. In my opinion, what they should do with him is, again, it's week-to-week sort of thing. So, again, if there's one week where, again, they need a guy to really step up a receiver, or if the offense is just simply struggling, put him out there, have him do that. Yeah, again, he's not going to be able to play both sides of the ball. Again, it would be kind of stupid for them to do that. I'm sorry. But, again, you're not going to get what you want out of him if he's playing, if he's doing that. Because, again, he's going to either get injured or be out of the league by his 3rd year with how many injuries he has. But still, again, I think a week-to-week sort of thing with him on both sides of the ball will be pretty valuable. But, again, it's Travis Hunter. I guess do whatever you want. Again, that's probably what I got on him. Diami Brown, if it wasn't for that playoff run he had, he really wouldn't be here. He has not been really that productive. But in the playoffs, he created tremendous amounts of separation, really stepped up for that Commanders team. But again, it was really one run. I wouldn't say he's the most proven. But again, for a 3rd guy in terms of the display of talent he showed, I think he's a guy you could probably, I wouldn't say trust there, but definitely project well for that. Parker Washington's a guy that, I'll be honest, I think is just a straight-up scrub. Again, he's definitely a scrappy player for sure, and he's a decent run blocker. But, he just doesn't really create much separation, and he is so slow. You talk about Xavier Restrepo with the Titans. I'm like, yeah, they're very similar guys. That's the fact that I think maybe Parker Washington's a little better than him. But still, as a 4th option, there's worse guys, but not my favorite. Austin Trammell and Joshua Cephas will be such teamers, though. So, yes, this is not a deep, safe receiver room at all. But in terms of the actual talent they have, I'd actually have to give them a B. You could argue it's a B+, but, there's no depth. But, do I still give them a B+? I think I'm going to stick at a B with this group because as good as Brian Thomas is, again, Travis Hunter, we don't know what's going to happen with him yet. Diami Brown, is he really a proven 2 receiver? I don't know about that again for even more than 2 weeks. And then you got Parker Washington, who, again, is okay as a 4th option, but that's really it. And that's, again, really it. So, you could give him a B+, but I think I'm going to be a little bit wary. And I'm a little bit, Jesus. And I'll give him 24 points for that. Then, but the talents there, I'm going to say it a B. Tight end wise, Brennan Strange is not a great player. I still don't know why they picked him so high. He had a little bit of a better season than, again, whatever you want to call his rookie season. But he's not a guy I really think is a starting caliber tight end. Johnny Mutt's a really good blocker, but I don't know how far that takes you. Hunter Long is just a bum, and you got Quentin Morris, who is, I don't know, he's bounced around a little bit. This tight end room is just not very good. I'll give them a D. I mean, that's probably the best I can, to be honest. Maybe a D+. I'm going to still stick at a D, though, because I don't really know what's going on with that group. Time for the offensive line before we figure out the offense's grade is. I was going over some last minute film of Walker Little last night. I think I figured out some of the things that could work with him going into next year. The first thing is don't have him definitely help him with chips sometimes because, again, especially on those third and longs last year, again, we're talking obvious passing situations. He really struggled to maintain his his positioning. Not exactly because I think, again, when it comes to, again, straight up, like, making sure that guys don't get into his grill, he's pretty good with that, and he also, again, maintains his leverage pretty well, but in both parts of the game, but it's just more the fact that I think he does jump back a little bit too much because he's not the fastest guy, but overall, I think Walker Little's a guy who I wouldn't call a reliable starting tackle, but he definitely showed a lot last year. I'm like, you can be good with him out there. Fred Johnson, yeah, he's just not very good. I'm sorry, like, it's not good with him. Dennis Dealey's just also pretty bad. Jonah Monheim is a guy who at a USC really didn't get much of a shot. Again, in terms of, again, the evaluations on him. Again, I think he's a guy who's pretty talented because I think he's a solid guy. But at the same time, it's kind of gonna. I think it won't actually be hard to get over Luke Fortner because Fortner's not a very good player. But Luke, again, they took him in the third round. Again, he's on this like last year's contract. They'll probably give him a little bit more of a shot than Jonah Monheim, who I think should definitely be able to make this roster. But again, he's just gonna have to display it in training camp. Ezra Cleveland's not a very good player. Really, at all. The only things that I can really go off of him with him, though, is the fact that with the Vikings, most of the time he was a solid run blocker, but that's really not going to be much to go off of, considering the fact that he just gets absolutely torched as against speed rushers, and that's just his biggest weakness. But he's a pretty strong guy, so we'll see how they use him. Chuma Edoga's, I think, more of a guard overall. He was expected to start for the Cowboys to start the year. He got injured and stuff, and really didn't play well once he came back and stuff. Or wait, was that an ACL with Chuma? Edoga. Injury. What do we got on him? Yeah, no, not the preseason. Yeah, wait. Yeah, it was something like that. It was a very weird injury. He didn't play well, though. Robert Hainsey's not a great center. I don't think he's bad, but, like, yeah. He's better than Luke Fortner and probably Jonah Monheim at this point. Patrick McCarr, again, we'll get more into him when we do the offensive lineman tier rankings, which will be a long one. Tell you guys that when we get to tier week. But for Patrick McCarr specifically, probably the most versatile offensive lineman I've ever seen. He can play every single spot, mix and match, and that's partly because of his ability to be able to get off the line as a tackle, as a pass blocker. But in terms of actually maintaining blocks, not the greatest. That's why he can be able to do that. Wyatt Millam, out of West Virginia, is a guy that I don't really love. But again, at the same time, he does have some pretty good athleticism, and I think you can move him around a little bit as well. Anton Harrison, again, overall was coming out as a finesse blocker out of Oklahoma. Last year, I think he did do a really solid job, though, again, improving on his ability to stop power rushers. But on like a consistent basis, not great. Cole Van Lanet's not awful, which again is probably good enough to be a solid backup. But on this offensive line overall, the only guy that I think actually is like a slightly above average is probably Anton Harrison. The rest of these guys, despite Patrick McCarr being a really solid, versatile guy, none of these guys are that great. For that reason, I'll give them a C along the offensive line. That might be a little bit nice, maybe not. I don't know. I don't think this is a bad offensive line overall, though. But again, none of these guys are really that fantastic. Now I think about it, I'll probably give it a C minus. Like if I really think about it, it's definitely not the greatest situation. So 8 points, and then we look at these overall grades: 25, 15. 24, 4, and 8. So, yeah, 2 low digits can get you to a pretty crappy number. 76 points on this offense is going to put them in the D tier, which I'm honestly going to probably give them a D plus at because, yes, the receiving position, there's 2 really talented guys in this offense, but I wouldn't call it the invariability at running back. Again, the quarterback situation, like with Trevor really just not proven himself just yet. And then again, the tight end room not being good, and the O-line could be a lot better. So, yeah, that's how we kind of get to a D+. But with that said, that's all I got for the offense. Let's get into this defense starting out, as always, with the front 7. Jags defense was pretty terrible last year, but the good thing about them is that they have a very talented D-line, starting on the interior with Eric Armstead, who's definitely a wily old vet. He has not really put up any sort of big-time production since I'd probably say when he was injured in 2022. Yeah, the numbers don't look good at all. But he was pretty solid that year. I mean, it doesn't look it, but like on film, trust me. Anyway, though, 2023 with the Niners, he had a pretty solid year. But like even then, like the pressure number rate wasn't that great. Last year, I would say I think against the run, he was a little bit more consistent than 2023. But he still wasn't great. And his pass rusher, again, he hasn't had like a true really solid season since 2021. I still don't know what happened in 2022, but from what I saw, the snaps I saw were pretty good. Anyway, Devon Hamilton I think he's been on here since 20. Oh, that was a different dude. Devon Hamilton's a really solid run stuffer. There we go. That's really all he needs to be. I think last year was probably by far his best season. And yeah, that's why he's out there. Again, he works pretty well with Eric Armstead, who still isn't giving you like quality pass rush production, but he's giving you something with volume. So I guess that's good. Jordan Jefferson, out of LSU, really didn't play well at all last year. He's got to really work on his leverage, or Mason Smith's going to play a lot more over him. Because with him coming out, he also didn't play great, but he is a much, much more talented pass rusher. So, yeah, that's why he's going to play more. Tyler Lacy, James Carpenter, maybe they sneak in there, but probably not. And then we look at the rest of this defense, defensive line. Josh Hines Allen's still an elite pass rusher. Last season just really didn't seem that interested. Again, the pressure rates, and again, especially with his move toolbox really actually enhancing after, again, a career season in 2023, was definitely fun to watch. He's never been the greatest run defender, though, which, again, has always been a little bit of a knock on him. Last year, he was actually kind of atrocious in a couple of ways. And PFF, I wouldn't say they hated him, but also wasn't great. But again, his pass rusher, you know what you're getting out of him. Number one production at the very least. One of the most talented edge rushers in football, despite, not being the most consistent at times. Trayvon Walker, the best year of his career last year. If we can get to him, there we go. Yeah, I don't know if he's worth the number one pick. I think, again, the filling out, again, out of a pretty, empty calorie sort of season in 2023 from him was definitely, like I said, filled out last year. Again, it was a lot more dense of a season. I'm just trying to say he was better than he was in 2023. But anyway, yeah, he still wasn't worth that number one overall pick. But still, again, he's been really good. Emmanuel Ogbah, I don't know what the heck happened to him last year. I think he was somewhat productive last year with the Dolphins. Definitely not, again, where we saw in 2020 and 2021 where he was actually a pretty darn good pass rusher. The burst and maybe I wouldn't even call it bend, but more like fluidness of his of his scissor move really hasn't come back just yet. But I think it was definitely there at times, and again, as a run defender, he's still pretty quality for them. So again, as a depth pass rusher, got to be pretty happy with that. Asir Abdullah, Miles Cole will probably maybe get 5 or 6 pass rush snaps the entire season if I had to get, unless someone's gonna get injured for sure. Dwayne Smoot, this guy's a freaking dog, guys. He's been around this team forever. He's 30. He was on them in 2017 when they made it to the NFC Championship. Again, he didn't play with them last year, and he wasn't very good with the Bills either. Never been the greatest pass rusher, but he's going to give you some power. Again, he'll be able to penetrate, move the pocket somewhat, and also he's a really disciplined run defender. But for this D-line overall, I think it's a decent group. But like I said, the interior, it leaves a lot to be desired. I'll give them a B on the D-line, which is going to give them 6, 12, 4, 16 points. And as a pass rush, I'll give them a B as well. Yes, the interior isn't the best, but they'll get some pressure, and again, they got a pretty solid duo, so I think a B is fair. You could definitely call it higher, but they didn't produce like that as a group last year, so I kind of got to go off of that too, considering the fact they didn't really make too many improvements. And then we look at the linebacking core. Devin Lloyd has really proven himself to be a hell of a player. Yeah, 2022 he was not good at all. 2023 issues in coverage. Last year still issues in coverage, but probably a little bit better, and he made a lot less mistakes, and he was a lot more productive in a lot of ways, and he's really freaking good. So, yeah, Devin Lloyd, solid turning out that. Ventrell Miller, we're going to get to Foyce Oluokong in a second, but Ventrell Miller is actually a guy that I think you can consistently count on to make a lot of plays in the open field, especially playing some of that boundary zone that you really need out of a sub linebacker. But at the same time, there are some times if he was a little bit more aggressive, would have made that play, I think it would have been good. Then we've got Foyce Oluokong, who's kind of just old now, guys. Again, I get he's only 29, but for a guy who had 3 straight 170-plus tackle seasons, which I get, tackles, no one really cares. It's a very misleading stat. In his case, the rate he was missing him was pretty solid. Again, it definitely kicked up his value a lot. But it's still at the same time, last year really wasn't the same. Got injured and stuff. But yeah, he's always going to be a volume tackler. Never going to be a guy that you're really going to be consistently active on in coverage. And also in terms of running this defense, he's going to be really good. But still, I don't think he's still definitely a little bit. Dennis Gardick, such a valuable guy. Again, I still think that 2022 season with Cardinal at times was his best season. 2023. I don't know ball. What am I talking about? But yeah, he's kind of old. But last year he got injured, so I don't really know what to go off of. He plays well against the Rams, so maybe that means something. They play him in London this year. Anyway, though, Chad Mama, again, his best season, or Moma, I don't know how to pronounce his name. His best season was 2022. Hasn't really done too much since. Not he's been bad, but he hasn't done much. Jack Kaiser, honestly, is kind of atrocious. Not gonna lie, guys. Oof, this is just not a guy that I'm looking forward to watch. He wasn't terrible in Notre Dame, but I don't know if he fits that scheme at all. I'm kind of just hoping for the best for him, I guess. Anyway, though, we look at the overall grade. I'd probably still give this a B because Devin Lloyd's really solid. Foyce Oluokong can't be the worst. And Ventrell Miller had a pretty solid year, so you could argue it's even a B+. I think I think I'll actually give it a B+. I like this linebacking core a lot. That might be overrating it a little bit, but like at the same time, like you get 3 solid starters at the very least, and even Devin Lloyd maybe stepping it up there in solid depth. I think a B+ is definitely something you could definitely justify there. Time for the secondary, though. All right, getting into the secondary for the Jaguars. They only have one cornerback that I'm like, that guy's actually like, he can freaking ball. Outside of that, though, it's kind of like Travis Hunter. Can you get the technique down, and then we'll figure it out. But yeah, Jerry Jones is not a good corner. He just isn't. I'm sorry, but like, he just isn't. Like, I will say there were some games, especially when they played the Texans those 2 times, that I think he definitely succeeded against a guy like Tank Dell because he could bump him around a little bit. But the actual like change of direction from his hip fluidity, I don't really think is there to really be able to compete with guys in press man. But I do think he jams pretty well. But at the same time, Travis Hunter can do the exact same thing, and he's a lot better player. So nothing against Jerry Jones, but like, yeah, not gonna work. Zach McPherson's a solid depth piece. DeAndre Prince, I probably watched 8 coverage snaps of last year, and that's when he got targeted too. So like, haven't watched too much of him. Tyson Campbell, one of the more talented corners and more unique guys in the league at 6'1", 195, and just being, again, that big man corner that every team needs. Be honest, guys, yeah, last year the coverage rate does not look good, and he actually probably hasn't been like I wouldn't even say elite, but like true, like statistically a true #1 corner since 2022. But the talent's always there. He's on this defense, like you get it. He's still a really freaking good player, guys. But at the same time, like, maybe he could definitely, he's definitely been underperforming for sure, though. Jordan Lewis should be a good slot. Again, he was good with the Cowboys for a while. I don't know what to expect, though, because the coverage rating was sky high this year. Christian Baswell's got, I think, is pretty respectable. Jabbar Muhammad needs to really fix his hips. And you got Montaric Brown, who has been on this team a little bit. Again, there's a lot of guys here. I don't really know if, like, this is the greatest, though. I'll probably give them a B- at corner, though. I mean, it's definitely not the best or the worst, but, like, is B- even fair, though? I think I got to give him a C+, because, like, at some point, like, Tyson's going to actually have to play, again, as how good he actually is. And then, like, at the same time, there's, like, a lot of, like, guys here at corner outside of, again, Travis Hunter. But, like, how good are they actually? Again, with the question marks for Travis Hunter, I think a C+ is definitely a little bit more warranted because, like I said, Jerry Jones isn't the greatest. Jordan Lewis should be solid, but, like I said, he was not great in coverage last year. And, again, at some point, you got to be. Eric Murray, if it wasn't not for that pick 6 and him really stepping up in terms of demonstrating his vision on the field, he definitely wouldn't have gotten that contract. But still, yeah, again, he's been a decent backup when he's been on the field. As an actual starter, though, we'll see how it goes. He's definitely more of a coverage safety, which I guess is good in some ways, but like something's got to give. Antonio Johnson looked lost last year overall. But the only good thing I can really say about him is that he didn't get burned that much. He was awful in the red zone, though. Darnell Savage is not a good football player. I don't really know what else to tell you guys. Like, he had like a couple years Packers where we got lucky with the fact again Jaire Alexander and Adrian Amos were really solid. Those 2 years with him, but like he wasn't really that good, very overrated. And every year since he's just been kind of trash, and he was really bad last year in a lot of ways. So like yeah, he's just not a very good player. Caleb Brandside, I definitely think could start at some point for this team. In terms of his actual like athleticism, it's way better than Darnell Savage, but like at the same time, I don't know. Again, it'll definitely take him a little while to actually carve out a role because again, this is a pretty complex defense. And they got Andrew Wingard, who I honestly don't care about either, because I mean he's a good special temer for them. But that's probably about it. Safety wise, I'll give them a C-. This is just not very good. That might be nice though. I probably should give them a D+, but I think Eric Murray is no, it's a D+. It's not a very good safety room. That's gonna be 9 points. And then when we get to, I don't really know what they're doing for a secondary that was just so bad last year. And then when we add all this all this up, it's gonna come out to what is that? 96 points. So I guess the defense isn't really that bad, but it's still not very good. I don't know. 96 points is putting them in C tier, which is honestly where they belong because they have talented players, but like how many? That's the question. That's all I have for the defense. Let's get into some other things, specifically what this team's identity is. There we go. Yeah, then the roster grade will work itself out. All right, we're looking at the Jaguars special teams unit. Again, Cam Little had a really good season as kicker. Will that stick? We'll see. He's got a big leg. He's really good. Very underrated. And how much did he even play last year? That's my question. No, he played the whole season. I don't know what I'm talking about. Logan Cook's the best punter in football. That's not what I said. That's what Isaac Punt said. Go follow him. But yeah, with him being a punter, I'm taking his word for that. And also, again, the statistics support it as well. And again, the punts look pretty too. Yeah. Parker Washington's a really good returner. Ross Matajic, I could care less about. And then, the rest of the special team unit is pretty solid. We're concerned they got a really good group going. I'm going to say a B+, but again, they weren't really, again, in terms of actual value last year, that special. All right, depth. Quarterback depth, I'd give a D plus. Again, I like Nick Mullins, guys, but like, no, C minus. We'll give it a C minus. How much worse is the Mac Jones? Pretty a lot worse. No, we're gonna give it D plus. Running back depth, I'd give a C plus ish. Yeah. No, B minus. B minus, and what do you say? A C, D plus. B minus, D plus. Let's say a C there. C. Receiver depth, I'd give an F. That's gonna get them to no. Is it really an F? Is it? I'll say a D. D to C, probably a C minus. C minus so far. Tight end depth, I'd probably give it a D ish. No, I'd say I'd give it a D plus because how good Johnny Munn is as a blocker. That's going to be a D plus though so far. O-line depth, I give it a C. C plus, D plus. I don't know, C minus. C minus. Then we look at the D line. I'd give that a, what are we gonna say, a B? That might be a little bit nice. No, you know what? We'll give it a B minus. So B minus to a C. Honestly, probably still at a C. Linebacker depth, I'd give a C plus. No, a B. So probably up to a C plus. Secondary depth, I'll just go overall here. I'd probably give it a C-ish. Yeah, I'd probably say a C. So if we say C, C minus, we're probably still sitting at C. So honestly, we give them a C. Very average depth on this team. Again, there's some positions that have a lot, some that, especially receiver, they don't have much at all. So again, they definitely could work with this. But again, overall, pretty much average. That's going to be 20 points for the depth. And then we look at the identity of this football team. Liam Cohen, I think, is an absolute tool and an awful head coach. Again, I think he will be an awful head coach. People are like, oh, they'll be good. Guys, the Rams' offense in 2022 was unbearable to watch. It was literally just spam Cooper Kupp, and I really hope that doesn't happen to Brian Thomas, but it probably will. Liam Cohen's just a guy that I think is an absolute tool. Again, terrible head coach. We'll see what actually happens, though. So, yeah. Defensively, I actually don't think they'll be too bad because they actually are pretty talented, but will that actually work out too much? I don't really know. Offensively, though, I'll probably say that I'll give them a C minus because, again, no, we'll say D plus for identity. Defensively, I don't know, a C. And that's probably going to come out to a C minus. Yeah, I don't really know where this team's going. But, again, they're going to do something. So, 20 points. Now, overall grade. All right, overall grade in terms of the points, like total points, is just not what you want at 221. And then we look at the range for that. That's going to put them in the C tier, which honestly is where they do kind of reside. This roster isn't very good overall. They got talented players, but like how far is they going to take you when your quarterback isn't doing much? But I'll say a C for this roster. That might be a little bit nice. That might not be nice at all. I don't really care. But yeah, I'm going to give them a C because that's where they fall. Maybe a C. We're going to say a C minus. I changed my mind. C minus for this roster. Yeah, they're... Wait, what the hell? How did that happen? That is just... not right. 219? Is that what we're saying? What do we like there? I'm gonna say it's more on the lower end, because, like... yeah, we're saying it's C minus, though. Good luck, Jags, in 2025. No, I really hope you don't. No, I'm joking. We don't have your draft pick. You're good. That's all I got for the Jags, though. Yeah, I guess the hint right now, I guess we'll say it right now, is it's another number 1 pick, but... you will not be happy, Cardinals fans, because the offseason short for you guys is just not the greatest. Anyway, though, I guess here's Marvin Harrison doing something crazy.
Fake to Connor. Murray on the rollout. Looking deep for Harrison! Marvin Harrison Jr. to the end zone! Touchdown again!
We'll watch him all the way across the field. He's trying to run this backside over route, and he gets rerouted by Cameron Curl right there and just takes it up. Essentially, when you throw your hand up like that, you got to